Hey, it's Mario here, and in this video we're going to go into how many carbohydrates should you eat to build muscle. So what is the quote-unquote optimal carbohydrate intake? And I think I get asked this question for two main reasons. And one is that people are carbophobic in these days. I mean, a lot of stuff out there is saying that the carbohydrates will make you fat. The insulin fairy is running around making people fat when it comes to losing weight. So people are now paranoid with adding carbohydrate to their diet, even if the goal is to build muscle, which is kind of sad because none of this is really based on any real research. I mean, if you look at the research, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's basically about calories and protein. But the second reason as well, on top of that, is that people see me recommend first set up your calories and protein and then kind of go with personal preference. So they're not sure, okay, what is the personal preference mean? And that is something that I want to clear up in this video. So what do I recommend for carbohydrate intake, and why is carbohydrate so important? Well, if you're looking at high intensity activity like strength training, like bodybuilding, carbohydrate is the primary source that's going to be utilized while you're training. While that training is a stimulant that's going to build muscle. Of course, diet is just permissive. Once you give your body enough fuel, now it really comes down to training, and the training has to provide enough of a stimulant to build muscle. And that's why carbohydrate is super important, because if you limit carbohydrate, you will fatigue sooner, you won't be able to do as quality work in the gym, which ultimately will lead to less muscle being built. And I'm not saying that you absolutely need carbohydrate. I mean, if you're following some kind of ketogenic diet or something like that, or if you're a beginner, you can build muscle without doing a lot of carbohydrate. I mean, there's no quote-unquote need, but we're talking about optimizing results. We're taking the approach where we're going to maximize results that you get from the gym and build muscle as fast as possible. So this is why this might be more important. So if you're an intermediate advanced lifter, I mean, you're probably doing a lot of work in the gym. I'm talking about sets and sets and a lot of exercise. So you do need to provide enough of carbohydrate. How much is enough? Well, a general recommendation that I would give for, let's say, bodybuilding / strength training would be about 1 to 3 grams per pound of your body weight in carbohydrate. So if you're someone who is, let's say, generally inactive in rest of the life outside of the gym, you might consider going just with 1 gram per pound. That's going to be enough. You just strategically place those carbs around the workouts. That should be fine with you being able to do the proper workouts, and then you listen to your body and see if you need more. And always listen to your body and see how you respond. If you're really fatigued and if you're getting crushed in your workouts halfway throughout the workout, you just can't do more, might be a better idea to add more carbohydrate. And then going to that 3 grams per pound range if you're doing a lot of workouts, 4 to 5 to 6 days a week, and you're generally active outside of the gym as well. So that should cover both of these kind of lifestyles that are kind of the opposite. So outside of that, if you're an endurance athlete as well as someone who's doing strength training and bodybuilding, so you're doing concurrent training, you might consider going up to 4 grams per pound of carbohydrate per day, because endurance training actually requires more carbohydrate as if you're looking to optimize, of course, your progress. So where do we take it from there? How do you set up a general diet? And this is something I wanted to go into a little bit in this video because I think it's going to be very helpful for you guys. So let's take a guy like myself, let's say about 170 pounds, and I want to set up a gaining diet. So I want to start gaining muscle, and I kind of figure out, okay, my maintenance is about 2600, and I figured based on my training experience, I might go with about 200 calories of a surplus per day if I want to build that much muscle and per month, right? So I set up my calories, okay, it's going to be 2800. And those 2800, now I need to divide between the protein, fat, and carbs. So I go with protein. I'm going to go with, let's say, 1 gram per pound, very simple calculation, 170 grams per day. So that goes to protein. So all of a sudden you have a little bit less left. So now you go with fats, and fats are typically between 20 and 30% of total calories, which is a very easy calculation. So let's say I go 25%, which is kind of a moderate approach, and then I'm going to adjust it afterwards based on how I feel. And that's going to be about 80 grams of fat per day. And then now we have carbs. So we just simply have to put everything else into carbs. So that's going to be about 350 grams of carbs. So that's twice my body weight. So I'm pretty good. I'm in that range of 1 to 3. That should be pretty solid. And now, I can look at my response to this amount of calories and to this distribution, and if I need to add more, I might add more to carbs, or I could even add more to fats, or if I need to add even more, I could easily add in any way, because it doesn't matter if you're quote unquote gaining, if you're in a bulk, there's really no rational evidence-based kind of approach saying that you will benefit more from adding to carbohydrate or to fat. So I mean, once there's plenty of energy, once the calories are there, there's really not that much benefit. If you're in a deficit, of course, carbohydrate might be more beneficial once you get that minimum amount of fat. But on a bulk, I mean, you might as well put everything into fat after you get enough carbohydrate to fuel your performance, because fat is easier to consume, and someone is, let's say you're a hard gainer, or someone is really having a lot of trouble with gaining mass, someone who's trouble with putting on weight, you might as well just put everything else into fat. So just pile on calories into fat. Once you get that 2 grams per pound in carbohydrate, everything else into fat. Happy peanut butter days and a lot of olive oil, a lot of salad dressings, things like that, and you will basically be able to build a lot of muscle like that, because you have enough fuel. Now there's fat to provide the calories, and there's plenty of protein in there as well. You might even go lower in protein. I mean, if you're gaining muscle, you can even go lower in protein. I kind of tend to keep it around 1 gram per pound just to keep it very, very consistent, and that seems to work well. There's really no evidence that you need a lot of protein if you're bulking. You might as well go with 0.8 grams per pound of lean body mass, which is gonna be a lot less than 170 grams in this scenario. Let's say someone who's 10% body fat, 170 pounds. I mean, you might go with 140 or 150 grams of protein. That's gonna be completely fine. So now that we have that set up, how do you make adjustments? As I said, you can put calories into any place you want afterwards. So that's kind of your initial setup. See how your body responds. If you're gaining too fast, you might cut down a little bit on carbohydrate or even on fat. It's your personal preference. How you find is the most sustainable way of doing that for yourself. Don't be carbophobic or something like that a lot of people are. You know, they're like, oh shit, I gained, carbs making me fat. No, it's not happening like that. Keep an eye on the calories, track everything, make sure that the most of the food you're consuming, like 80-90% for health reasons, comes from minimally processed whole foods, and that will ensure that your body is going to be properly fueled both with macronutrients but also with micronutrients that are necessary for health, as well as adding plenty of vegetables and fruits, about 5-6 servings of veggies per day. A serving is about a fist size, so keep that in mind. With every meal, some veggies, add in some fruits, get your water intake, get your sleep, and success is practically guaranteed from there. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below, how many carbohydrates do you typically get per day? Let's say you're gaining muscle, or even if you're losing fat, how many do you typically do get per day if you're tracking? Aside from that, make sure to hit that subscribe button below to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.